Fixing mistakes is really expensive and embarrassing. Avoiding them is priceless.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Behind Their Success podcast. I am Peyton Squires, the host, and today we have on William Holsten. William is a seasoned entrepreneur, inventor, best-selling author, and renowned business mistake prevention specialist with a decade of experience turning uh-oh moments into opportunities. William's innovative approach has helped countless entrepreneurs avoid common pitfalls. So he's here to share some wisdom with us and the guest today. William, good morning. Welcome on Behind Their Success.
Thanks, Peyton. I'm really glad to be here. My background, I spent almost four decades in a major global consumer health multinational company in both marketing and innovation. In the last 10, 12 years of that time, I also ran a side hustle where my family and I invented and marketed unique party and carnival games. It's a story I'll get into later. I learned, especially in my side gig, the hard way that preventable mistakes hurt when you're an entrepreneur because the money comes out of your wallet, not out of corporate treasury. That's when I wrote my book. When I retired from my company in 2022, I got busy writing a book to leverage what I had learned as far as dumb mistakes and also leverage what I had used in my corporate career when I was leading workshops for problem solving and new product ideation. Those tools, I applied them to dumb mistake making, and that's what the Uh-Oh book really is about. So when I became the business mistake prevention specialist, it's a title I hadn't heard before.
Yeah, I made it.
So that I can help teach entrepreneurs, startups, small businesses, because they're the most vulnerable ones, especially in the beginning, how to avoid costly blunders by teaching them decision discipline, by teaching them the art of seeing trouble before it happens, and by understanding themselves.
So yeah, William, you wrote a book, right, called Uh-Oh, Avoid Unintentional Blunders That Derail Entrepreneurial Success. Like what inspired you to do that?
My own experience as an entrepreneur before 2000. My wife and I we're part of a big family. I have 6 brothers and sisters. And we were all invited by my older sister's daughter to contribute something to a Make-A-Wish Foundation Carnival. And the carnival was in their backyard in southeastern Pennsylvania. In August, it was going to be really hot. So I said, what a cool thing. Let's get a dunk tank. And we were moving towards that date, and I got a call from the rental company maybe 3 weeks before. They said, I'm sorry, we can't rent you the dunk tank. Here in the Northeast, as you know, back then, there's a drought, and local law prevented them renting something that required 500 gallons to fill up.
Gotcha.
And he said, do you want something else like a toss across? I said, no, I'll figure this out. So then my wife and I sat down at our kitchen table, pen and napkin in hand. We were trying to figure out how might we do that dunk tank experience without that 500 gallons and that rental. And what we came up with, we ultimately called a game called Pitch Burst. It's a game where the person sits in a chair on the ground and a water balloon is suspended over their head. And when you toss a ball, it hits a target, and it makes a nail or a sharp thing poke the balloon, and the gallon of water falls on their head. We called it the drought-proof dunk tank. That day, it was 95 and humid. It was perfect. It was a great audience, and they made many, many hundreds of dollars for the charity. Yeah. So we thought, I was working in marketing and innovation at the time. I said, boy, this is something we should do. And people called me the next few days and said, where can I get that? I said, please hold. And we looked into it. Yeah. I hired an attorney. We did a patent search and found out this has never been done before. So we filed a provisional patent and got busy. I also put together a business plan and went to a bank and got nearly $100,000 loan to be able to produce 100 of these things and spend money on marketing to the rental company industry. We did all that. So we made 100 of those. And we spent the money in Rental Management Magazine. And this is back then, it was not online. Yeah. We spent for magazine advertising and direct mail and things like that. So most of our money was spent on inventory and marketing, and we succeeded. We sold, our first winter season, 60 of the games now called Pitch First. And we figured, well, this is great. We could probably quit the day job at some point in the future. Then the warm weather came, and these rental companies, at least in the northern part of the United States, because we sold them nationally, began renting them out in April, May, June. And one day the phone rang, and they said, the arm that makes the target go, it fell off. And we said, oh, well, I'll send you a new part. And then the next day, another call came, the pitch, the logo thing, it peeled off. It looks crummy. And I said, oh, we'll send you a new one of those. After about the 10th call, I call it an uh-oh moment. We realized this wooden version was really not fit for purpose. Yeah. So we suffered through that first big summer where these calls were very routine. We stopped selling. We stopped our marketing to allow things to catch up with themselves. Where there were demands for it, of course, we gave a refund. If I sold you something, I'm good for it. Yeah. We'll make good. So we did that. And that was our first big mistake. Later, it took us another 18 months and loan extension. We hired somebody that helped us make the same game out of steel. So it was bulletproof. And by the way, two things. If you're watching a video of this, behind me is the patent drawing of that game. Ultimately, succeeded, and that was in 2002. That's still being sold today. We sold it off, but it was a design that was durable. Behind me, we also, over the next 5 or 6 years, invented and launched new games, each of which had their own learning curve. You said in a prior podcast that entrepreneurs have to pay down their debt of ignorance. That was your term. Mm-hmm. And yes,
and that's a stolen term, by the way. That's out.
That's okay. So we made dumb mistakes. Yep. And in retrospect, they were preventable. Mm-hmm. We had the right tools to find out how to prevent that. It takes a little bit more time, but you won't be bulletproof, but you'll be much better.
Yeah.
When I retired after finishing my 40-year career with my world company, I said, I've got to put this on paper. And I described, the first things I wrote were my experience with this games company. But then I realized to make this valuable for people like me starting their own businesses, I need to put in the tools they can use to do what I wish I had back then. So the book includes 10 tools anybody can use. They're all do-it-yourself at their kitchen table, in a conference room, anywhere to make sense, to help, I call the word goof-proof their business. It's not absolute. Mistakes still happen, but you want to anticipate the ones that could really kill you.
Yeah.
These tools are in 4 groups. One is understanding yourself. So there's some self-analysis tools to know your own tendencies for making mistakes. Typically, is it when you're tired? Is it when you're stressed? Is it when you're upset? Is you're doing too many things? It helps you go through those. Another set of tools is understanding your customers by tools that allow you to map your customer's experience, because so many entrepreneurs think they got the right idea and they run ahead, and I did, and you put it out there and you don't know if anybody's going to like it, so you don't want to fall victim to something nobody wants. And then there's a part in that same section on testing and learning. You take a piece of it and you Frankenstein it so people can have the experience without going to develop the full thing. These are lessons
without maybe spending, hundreds and hundreds of thousands.
$100,000 of thanks. All of your SBA bank loan money, right?
Yeah.
The third is understanding your own business. And there are 4 tools there. And one of my favorites is, it's not my tool, it's one I found. It's called pre-mortem. Everybody knows the post-mortem, that the pathologist finds out why somebody dies. In a pre-mortem, you and your team, imagine it's your business 4 years from now, and you were an utter failure. Everything happened wrong. What you do is creatively think of what happened, what did we do now that made that happen. So you brainstorm those things, and then you pick the most important ones and create an action plan. How can you collect for that now before it happens?
Yeah, I see. And I love that. And that really reminds me of Charlie Munger's advice. He said, invert, always invert, right? As in you're thinking that you're not thinking about what can I do to make things go wrong? It's like, okay, or go right. I mean, you're thinking of like, okay, how can I kill this business? Right? Like,
yeah, that's right.
How can I kill this business? Okay. It's a lot easier for you to think of all those things. And then you're like, okay, I just need to do the opposite of all those things, right?
Exactly. You're thinking of what could a competitor do to kill me?
Yeah.
But more than that, what might I do stupid? Yeah. And it's easy to think of stupid things when there's no risk at all. Mm-hmm. The other thing on understanding your business is actually having a business plan. I'm a mentor with SCORE, and I see new people every week who are starting businesses or struggling with their business. They're looking for mentors to help. And I'm observing, boy, a bunch of them, they have their business plan. It's in their head. They never wrote it down. So there's nothing to keep them heading towards the North Star or their goals. Or maybe they didn't articulate goals. So having a business plan is really important. And then finding what are the weak points in your business plan is part of the tool set. The fourth set of tools is about understanding the external world and leveraging that for your purpose. And one of them is learning lessons from others' mistakes. It was Warren Buffett who said, it's great to learn from mistakes, but it's better to learn from other people's mistakes. I've gone a little bit further into the book. Of course, I detail my own blunders, my own moments. But then I looked to the world outside and found there's a lot to learn from. One example that's really famous is the 2017 Miss Universe pageant where Steve Harvey was hosting, and it came down to the final two, and he says the winner is Miss Columbia. And turns out that was wrong. He had a wrong reference in his ear, and then he had to come out and embarrassingly say it was Miss Philippines, the other one. But you can learn from that things like when you're under high pressure, always allow for a pause section where you can stop and ask questions if you're not sure. Yeah. There's other lessons to draw. The most dramatic one, and so that's what I'll mention here, is a skydiver in Pennsylvania who was asked to film a tandem couple coming out of the plane after him. His name was Ivan McGuire, and they're up at 10,000 feet. They all give each other a thumbs up. This was in the days before GoPro and iPhones and smartphones. He jumps out, and so he was wearing a pretty heavy video camera, film camera. He jumps out, they give each other a thumbs up, and they jump out. He's got his camera, he's catching it, and it was a great shot and perfect. They then, the other couple, reach for their ripcords, and their parachutes go up and they come down safely. Ivan, still shooting, reaches for his ripcord, and it's not there. He focused so much on the camera that he forgot his parachute. There's lots of mistakes there. But the lesson in the book that you can draw from is, what is it in your business that if you ever once forgot it, it could be disastrous, not faulty your death, but disastrous for your business. And I think of an inner city retail store. Maybe they left for the day at 6 o'clock and they forgot to lock the door, and then they were gone. Or somebody who's in charge of the business insurance, they forgot to renew a policy, then a fire happens or something, they're all screwed over. Everybody in your audience can think, well, in my business, what is the one thing? That's the type of thinking that is to help you goof-proof. And it's leveraging outside learning. So those are the tool sets. I felt it was very important to articulate them. In the book, we talk about why, and then it's a bit of a how, and then there's actually an example. Some are hypothetical, some are not, of how this tool could be used.
Yeah, that's some great stuff, William. I guess my kind of takeaways of what all you kind of went through there. One, going back to you building, your game, 99.9% of people, even if they would have built that game in the beginning, would have just stopped there and done nothing with it, right? Mm-hmm. Like, oh, that was a great little Saturday. That was cool, right? And they would have just moved on and never saw the opportunity there, right? And then, really just going through your different, 4 different tool sets there and in your book. Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of stuff we talk about here all the time. We talk about self-awareness being a superpower. Like, Man, if I could just have ultimate self-awareness, I feel like I could do anything I wanted in the world. And obviously understand your customers and testing a business before, especially like a product-based business, people will run out, buy all these products, buy all this inventory and realize, man, nobody even wants this. I thought it was really cool, but nobody cares, right? And so the ability to be able to test in today's world with online stuff and be able to run marketing ads and whatever, you can do a whole lot of testing before you really spend any amount of money to see if the market, to see if the market is there for your actual product.
Yeah. Right? And it's not asked. Of course, you always ask your family, your kids and your wife or your husband, you like this? And yes, let's go. No. Put that aside. Put that aside. They love you. That
means very little.
Yeah, I know. What you just mentioned is something that's going to be, it's on my website. It's a free download that's called the $10,000 Mistake Checklist. And it lists 8 different syndromes or problems that mistakes typical entrepreneurs can make. And number one, you were just talking about it, I call it the no one actually needs this syndrome. And it's because you didn't check and do any validation. That makes sense.
Yeah. You can build this thing that you absolutely think is amazing. But if no one cares, no one cares.
And you can't make them care.
Yeah, right. Yeah. The best marketing in the world, it's still a nothing to them. They just don't see the value, right? While you might all day long, the market is the ultimate judge. And that's why, we talk about the market being, being a business is like I say it's the greatest like self-development tool, because like your feelings, whatever your product you put out, none of that matters. It's like what the market thinks of it. And it's just this brutal like feedback loop evaluation that there's nothing to hide from. It's like people either bought it or they didn't. And if they didn't, you need to figure out why. And your feelings don't matter.
Peyton, I listened to your 100th episode yesterday. By the way, it was really good. You gave 6 lessons from interviewing 100 entrepreneurs. And your number one was think bigger than you think is possible. Yeah. That's true. But do it with some realism there by doing some testing. And my other comment on that is, it's important. This is from my corporate days when I was doing ideation things. What's the other right answer? If you have designed, if you're an inventor like I am, and you want to get this out to the world, you might discover nobody wants this. But if you talk about the problem that it's solving, you expose them to your idea today, and they say, no, I don't like that, but I still have that problem. You might then go to how else might we solve that problem? And it could be a tweak that makes all the difference in the world. But you have to do the work to discover that.
Yeah. I mean, nobody can do it for you, right? And you got to dive into really anything and take control of it. And that's what you did, right? Like that's what you did going back to the game you created, right? Mm-hmm. There was a problem. We thought, we could get a dunk tank just like anybody else. And there was a problem. And you decided, that's a problem I can take on and figure out how to fix. And once again, 99% of people would have just blown right past that opportunity and never even saw it. And that's a big part of all of this is it comes back to self-awareness and the mindset of like looking for opportunities, because they're everywhere. Opportunities. And the more and more I get into business and the more and more I develop my mindset, I'm like, there's 10 million ways to make money. The opportunities are absolutely everywhere. It's just people they can't even see it. Because their mind isn't even looking for it.
Yeah, if I can, I'll add a comment on one of the other tools in the book, and it's about understanding your business. It's about reframing and asking questions and using a different lens to look at your problem. One of my discoveries when I was researching was that Picasso sometimes turned his paintings upside down when they were almost done to say he could see a different perspective on. I heard Dr. Seuss also did the same thing. Not sure he did or not. But find another way to look at the problem, look at your solution from the eyes of a customer, from the eyes of, if it's business to business, the business who's going to resell it. People who know and have experience with these things. It's really helpful.
Yeah, and that just ringing in the back of my head is Charlie Munger saying, invert. Always ask the question from the different perspective, right? From the complete opposite perspective. It's like, not how can this go right, but how can this go wrong, and how can I avoid that, And our brains are wired that way to where it's a whole lot easier to actually come up with answers when you flip that question on its head and you're no longer thinking like just the rest of the world thinks, right?
Are you looking for a new tax experience? Looking for an advisor that actually brings you high-level ideas and proactively plans so you aren't overpaying your taxes? Or how about one that even just responds and communicates in a timely fashion? If any of that resonates with you, you probably just have a tax preparer and not a tax planner. And it is through the tax planning process where all the value is found. And when tax planning is done right, it has a positive return on investment. I'm Peyton Squires. I'm a CPA and owner of Squires Tax Planning. We work alongside entrepreneurs and high-income earners, helping them pay the least amount of income taxes, both legally and ethically. We have saved our clients hundreds of thousands of dollars through specific strategies, and we guarantee we can find multiple tax strategies that your current tax preparer hasn't told you about. If that interests you, head over to squirestaxplanning.com. There you can take our free assessment to see how likely it is that you are overpaying on your income taxes. From there, you can also book a free tax discovery call with our team to see what it would look like to have us working for you.
Okay, so you're coming into business. Like, what kind of strategy do you use to just identify, and prevent, potential issues that the business doesn't even know about?
If I'm meeting you for the first time and we're sitting down, I'll begin by onboarding, listening to you just talk about your business, why you did it this way, whatever. We'll then talk about, it's interesting asking people, tell me about the mistakes you have made, because most people won't admit them, at least not to somebody else. Yeah. So we begin with one of the tools. It's look in the mirror. It's that self-diagnostic tool. You do think all by yourself. I did do this before I get there. All by yourself, you sit down and list out the top 3 blunders you've made, and then you check off what were the reasons. The reasons most people make these simple mistakes. These are not strategic big mistakes. These are simple ones they could have avoided. They check off what the causes. There's a checklist of what might have caused. I was tired. I was stressed. I was angry. It was 4:00 in the morning. I depended on faulty assumptions that I didn't check. They can find out what their pattern is. If it's an individual or if it's a team, everybody does it, and then we discuss what leads to these things. Then we'll be talking about we'll talk about the parachute thing. What's the worst thing that could happen and how might you prevent that? But then we'll see, based on the company or the individual situation, what are you planning to do? Show me your business plan. What are you planning to do in the next couple of years? And then we'll do the pre-mortem to do the what might go wrong. Then I'll take from the 10 tools, appropriate ones to do the exercises. I use worksheets. We do things together on flip charts to draw out a action list of what are the 5 things to take away from this. If people are forgetting things, create the right checklist. If people are surprised that they didn't anticipate something, we'll design the exercises they might do to be a better anticipator. Things like that. It is customized, but it's generally applying what I've got in the book to their situation.
Yeah. And to me, I hear it's a lot of planning in an organization, or just like, okay, let's, they talk about, people don't rise to the occasion, they fall to the level of preparedness, right? Like you get in a stressful, situation. People don't suddenly become superheroes. If anything, they fall to the level of their most preparedness, right? When you hear this stuff, I mean, this is a lot of what that is. And, in my head, at least, when you're working with entrepreneurs and whatnot, some of these people cringe at some of this stuff. And the reason they cringe at some of this stuff is because they want to be this free, creative artist. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff.
Right. They want to be Steve Jobs.
Yeah. They hear this and think, oh man, that sounds very stifling to me, right? Can you speak to that a little bit? How structure and planning, it doesn't actually even stifle your creativity. It allows you to not have to worry about a lot of day-to-day things and actually be even more creative, in my opinion. But can you speak to that a little bit?
Yes, each exercise is different, but each one causes you to think, either by yourself or with your team, more creative ideas, both about the threats and about the solutions to those threats, so that at the end, you're smart. By the way, the 5 words I use in the book, you'll say, duh, but I say that the answer to avoiding these preventable mistakes is simply to think smartly and be more aware. But then I say, well, it is only that, but that's really hard.
Yeah. There's a whole practice of that. It sounds easy.
Because when you're draining the swamp, when you're in the thick of things, your customer did something wrong yesterday, your competitors are doing something, there's a delay because of shipping, you don't have your product, you're out of stock. You're worried about all the things about growth and success. Nobody's looking for how do I prevent. Yeah. But you have to flip that and realize without this, you put that success, all that effort in danger if you do something dumb.
Yeah. The general personality of entrepreneur, it's a weakness of theirs. And that's not true across the board, but generally these entrepreneurs are these kind of high driving, high autonomous, creative people that, once again, all this sounds, probably torturous in their head, right?
Yeah.
But you don't understand that's exactly what they need to go to the next level, right? It's like if you're where you're at today and you want to get to, this higher level, well, you're missing something, right? And it generally, this is a huge hole for entrepreneurs, right? Where they don't want to be structured to be able to put any of this stuff together. And I promise you, if you don't build structure and operations and SOPs and all those things, you're never going to the next level.
That was your lesson number 2 you mentioned yesterday. That's right. Yeah. My take on this is fixing mistakes is really expensive and embarrassing. Avoiding them is priceless. Yeah. The cost of time, or by the book, if you read the book, or if we talk personally, or you come to a talk I'm giving, that small investment can multiply itself if you put it to work.
Yeah. You actually follow.
You need to be honest with yourself. And the takeaway I try to give people when I'm talking is, all right, I give them a handout of the 10, and I say, in the next week, pick one of these and give it a try.
Yeah.
Because you can't do everything all at once in any part of your business, and it's overwhelming to think of all the time involved in doing each of these. Pick the one that appeals to you, and I always recommend do that self-analysis first. Yeah. Because it's going to last you beyond your business.
Yeah. One big thing I would tell all the listeners, like if you haven't taken like multiple personality tests on yourself, do it. There's plenty of them out there, and that's going to show you your weaknesses. And it's going to show you the strengths, right? And you can lean in your strengths, but then you need to especially build systems around your weaknesses, right?
Yeah.
And or bring, more team members in that's their strengths to cover all those holes. Right?
Oh, I do have to say, what I put in the book is not Myers-Briggs or one of the complicated ones. This is quite well, and you realize, boy, I shouldn't do anything when I'm super stressed. I should just defer it.
Yeah. That's pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, me, it's like, yeah, same thing, where I, maybe get angry or excitable about something where like, I always do something where I'm like, a day later, I'm like, that was stupid. Why did I do that? You know what I mean? Like you, when you're in that real emotional state, you're always going to do something that, a couple days later, you're like, man, I wish I wouldn't have done that. Man, I wish I would have sent an email. All those things, right?
In my case, when I think back on my game business, my mistakes were material choices that made something that was not fit for purpose. That was relying on faulty, unchecked assumptions. Because I had assumed it was okay based on my experience. It wasn't sufficient.
Yeah, you had your experience, you used it the one day, and you're like, went great. That is not necessarily every environment that thing is going to be in, and, yada, 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 right? And yes, humans are great at that, experience something and then projecting that out onto the entire world as just truth. And that's how the world works, and often we're wrong. So, another question here for you, William. So for new entrepreneurs, what habits or routines do you consider essential for success?
Habits or routines. Thinking through, being honest with yourself. And that does require writing a business plan. You do need to have, even if it's bullet points on a single page, this is what I'm intending. So it aligns your thinking. It also keeps you honest when you go 3 weeks in And that didn't happen with those, because you're going to articulate your assumptions and what your plan is and what your success criteria are, and among other things. And if you don't get the success, you have to have a plan B, or know how you'll pivot, or make some different decisions.
Yeah. Here's the thing, I'm a CPA accountant, been in business for well over a decade, and I've never written one out. And I'm not saying that to, denounce anything you just said there. I would have been way better off had I, right? Because it's really thinking about what is success. Like, okay, in my example, I'm going to open up a tax firm. Okay. 3 years from now, if I'm to look at this and say was successful, what does that mean specifically? Right. And that really gives you that North Star of because it's so easy to always be, getting pulled off track and getting distracted and pulled into different opportunities or things you think are opportunities. And it's just having that North Star, right, of thinking through, what am I building? Why am I building it? What is success? What is failure? In my own terms, because you actually get to define that. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks.
And those measures won't be just your revenue or profit level. It's your personal satisfaction. It's your work-life balance. It's how many people in the world you are helping, if that's important to you. So it's you design on your business plan what you're trying to achieve. Then hold yourself to it.
Yeah. And the other thing I feel very important about writing that down in the process of that is you've set something in stone, or, as much as it can be set in stone. And then also you should share that with people, and get accountability around that. And that way, if someone else knows exactly what you're trying to accomplish, and they can whip you when you need to get back in place. Right?
Yeah. One further thought and I'm a SCORE mentor. There's 10,000 SCORE mentors across the country. I do encourage somebody who's just beginning thinking about stuff. The mentorship is free. You can go to score.org/find a mentor or mentor or something and get one assigned to you. And that's a free person you can bounce ideas off. The other tool I use once in a while is AI, ChatGPT. You can write your business plan. Do it first, by the way. Write it the best you can. Then you can upload it and say, please clean this up and make this sharper, better.
You can even ask yourself, why wouldn't this work? What am I not even thinking about? What questions didn't I ask?
Yes. And you can even put in there, you play the role of a skeptical banker who won't lend me the money. What are the holes here that I'll have to fill? And you can sharpen it back and forth. So I'm amazed by that tool.
Yeah, skeptical banker. I love that. Yeah, it's like it's because the banker wasn't an entrepreneur. He doesn't know how to run a business. Last question here for you. So looking back, the beginning of your career, or I guess just really over your whole journey, for your perspective today, what is one piece of advice you'd give yourself, or wish you would have known at the beginning?
I'll speak to my entrepreneurial journey because the corporate thing, I was fortunate that I got to follow a career path. Part of it was traditional. Then I took a left turn and I got into innovation and I discovered what I really loved.
Yeah,
that led me to this.
Creative.
But when it was that hot day in August of 1999 and we were playing this pitch burst game for the first time, the desire, if I could go back and be myself in that role again, would be to study it a bit more and look at the market and understand the market requirements a lot better, and then probably find a partner or look at a different business model. We decided to do it all ourselves, have a manufacturer and sell.
Everything.
We owned the patent that we could have sold off to somebody who was already good at this. Yeah. And I would have learned a lot less, but I might have made a lot more.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And it's true. It's like, when we look back at our, what we consider mistakes or sidesteps or whatever, they're not really mistakes or sidesteps. I mean, the amount of knowledge you learned coming through that has propelled you, I'm sure, in all kinds of different areas, further down your journey. But yeah, you're looking back at that patent, you could have waved it around to somebody's face like, hey, who wants to make these for me and pay me for them, right?
Yeah. My own business plan at the beginning was to do this to rental companies, business to business for a couple of years, and then make a home version of it and sell it through Party and Toy Stores.
Toys R Us or something, right?
Yeah, because we went so bad in the negative with the debt we had,
Yeah.
We didn't have the ability to design it that way and do any more. Since then, if you go to Walmart.com, you can find people selling that game that way because the patent is still in force, but it doesn't apply to home games.
So, William, what is the best way the listeners can get a hold of you, follow you, learn more about you, just kind of connect with you? What's the best way they can reach you?
Well, if you want to remind yourself that fixing the mistakes is very expensive and preventing them is priceless, go to williamholsten.com. It's my name. On there, you'll get my story, the reasons why preventing mistakes is so important. There is a free downloadable checklist, the $10,000 mistake checklist, which is an entree to thinking what could go wrong. So it's my website is the best place to go, williamholsten.com.
Awesome, William. I appreciate you coming on the show. It's been a great conversation. Any last parting words for the audience?
The uh-oh moments, I made up an acronym for it. You think of the UHOH, they're unintentional, humbling, observable, and they cause a hardship. I wish you life without uh-oh moments.
I love it. Yeah. Or when they come, make sure you learn something from them.
Absolutely. Think smartly, be more aware.
William, I appreciate you so much. It's been a great conversation, and listeners, we'll catch you next time.
Thanks, Payne. Good to see you.
Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. If you found it valuable, please rate, review, and share it. That is the best way to help us build this and reach more people, as we're trying to accomplish our goal of help creating more healthy, wealthy, and wise entrepreneurs. You can follow us on social media by searching for me, Peyton Squires, or going to PeytonSquires.com. On the website and social media, we're always sharing tips of personal growth, and there we can actually interact. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks, guys.